As you probably already know from the hundreds of videos about it by now, Yiheng Wang just broke the 3x3 world record single with a crazy time of 3.08 seconds. Something you also probably know is that this solve had a ridiculous turn speed of 14.61 TPS, which is almost 40% higher than the previous world record single and almost 90% higher than the world record before that. This is just a monumental jump in terms of turn speed. So how did he turn so fast? Well, in this video, I'm not only going to answer that question with examples from his solve, but I'm also going to give you some tips and some drills to help you improve your 3x3 execution as well. Let's get right into the reconstruction. So jumping right into the solve, I'm not going to focus too much on how efficient he was, more on how he grips the cube and how he optimizes his finger tricks for the best TPS possible. So the scramble will just be on screen. Now, you're probably quite familiar with this scramble, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. He actually holds yellow in the front instead of yellow on top, and this is the first thing I kind of want to point out. If you want to have better TPS at the start of your solve, make sure you're not always just holding the cross color on the bottom. You might find that sometimes, like in these scenarios, that the first move, in this case a B prime, is really inconvenient to do from a pickup position. So instead, like Yiheng, you can kind of figure out in inspection where the best place is to hold it for the best execution possible. So he holds it like this with U prime, D prime, wide art but yellow on top, and then finishes the cross with art prime, D U prime, art prime D. Notice how his thumb is still on the bottom, so when he goes into his first pair, which is just an easy 3 mover, he keeps his thumb on the bottom and executes it like that. So that's pretty important, and I'll come back to it in a sec. He then re-grips and grip shifts at the same time, so that's where his thumb was here, but now it moves over and this thumb goes to hold the center there. And his second pair is just there, so he does that with L and U moves. Now notice here he's got this pair, and this is just the mirror of what he had a second ago with his first pair, but instead of re-gripping and executing it the normal way, he actually does a cool finger trick called a pinch U move. So he puts his fingers like this and pinches like that to do the L, and this requires no regrips. So this is a core thing that you can definitely incorporate into your solves. I know I've seen people just regripping here, but it saves a lot of time if you do the proper finger trick, and especially all these little things, they definitely add up. So now we've done the first 3 pairs, and these are all pairs that he presumably planned in inspection, which definitely helps. So the more pairs you can plan in inspection, the quicker you're going to be able to execute the start of the solve, because you're not having to think about what to do next. This is another reason why planning cross plus 1 in inspection is definitely something good to learn, and it's something I'd recommend to all of you watching this video. Finally, he goes into his last pair, and instead of re-gripping and solving it normally, like honestly I would do that, he actually does the U2 and doesn't re-grip at all, and does this push U move. And once again, he, while inserting, does the push U move. This is actually a really difficult finger trick to do without locking up. Yeah, like, I don't know what that is. And then finally he gets to Pier though, and there's not much to say about this apart from the fact that he slightly locked up here. Let's not talk about that too much. And then finishes the solve, 3.08 seconds, new world record. Everyone goes wild, and this is all due to his crazy turning. So, quick recap, he holds red on top, puts yellow on top for his cross, doesn't re-grip at all, grip shifts, inserts the pair in the back, and then does this pinch U move, and then finally executes the last pair with this pretty interesting finger trick, and then tries to spam TPS at the end. I'm locking up as well, and then U prime. You'll notice he's really good at avoiding regrips, which is definitely something that I think a lot of people can work on, especially during F2O. So obviously he needed good raw TPS to get this time. It's not just a matter of using these finger tricks and kind of, they're not cheat codes, but they definitely help improve the overall flow of the solve. So now that you know the exact finger tricks that he used in this solve to get such a fast time, I encourage you to pause this video for now and see how fast you can execute his solution. The scramble is just here. If you're able to get it sub 5, congratulations. That means you've got a pretty good turn speed of over 9 turns per second, which is pretty much the TPS you would need to get a world record before this. I'm just about able to get it sub his world record, but only just. Finally. Let's go. And considering he messed up on the last few moves, my F2L was definitely slower. But what are some things like drills you can do to practice actually physically turning the cube faster? I'm going to go through 3 drills which I think are going to help you quite a lot. So the first drill is literally what we just did. It's called down solving, and it has quite a few benefits. Basically, you want to find a solve that either you did, that you got a good time on, or a solve that a top cuber did. For example, Yiheng. Literally Yiheng. Or I personally like to look at T1 solutions because I just find them crazy. Like, bro, what is this triple X cross right here? That is absolutely crazy. You can find these reconstructions on a site called recon.nz, which I find really helpful. You then want to memorize the solution and drill it a lot, so it's basically like an algorithm stuck in your muscle memory. And once you're ready, you want to start timing how fast you can execute this solve. As you time yourself, you want to be trying to figure out the best finger tricks for this solution, if there are any ways you can avoid regripping, that sort of stuff. And honestly, for most scrambles, even if it's a really bad one, you should be able to get your time down to probably within a second of your PB single. This can also encourage you to find better solutions, but that's not necessarily what we're focusing on at the moment. The second drill I've got for you guys is OLO and PLO time attacks. Now, you've probably heard of these before, but it's essentially where you execute all your algorithms in any order from one of these subsets, and you want to try and get the quickest time possible. Personally, I prefer the PLO time attack just because it's shorter and also your hands don't get as tired, so you can do it for longer. Hopefully, if you're holding the cube light enough, that shouldn't matter too much. Anyway, you want to ensure you're using the best finger tricks possible, and it will also help you transition between algorithms. Now, I've got a video where I show you a pretty good order for it that doesn't use too many regrips, but it shouldn't matter too much if you're executing the algs really fast. Yes! Finally! Oh my god. You don't understand how long that took. This is a really good drill, and it helps you practice grip shifting, which is where you're slightly shifting your grip between layers as you do the algorithms. So yeah, definitely try PLO and OLO time attacks. My final tip for you guys is to actually film your solves. Now, you've heard me say this before, but I seriously think this is the best way to improve as a cuber. It ensures you know where you're going wrong, and you can fix it in a way that suits yourself. This can help for all aspects of your solve, but I think finger tricks and execution is especially important because you don't realize you're doing stuff in the solve. We only know that Yiheng didn't regrip for his last pair because we've got the video of it. If we didn't have that, we'd probably just assume he regripped like probably a normal cuber. I would regrip in that situation. But because we've got the video, we can actually tell and we can learn from that. As you review the footage, you want to note down what you did wrong and specifically what drills and things you can do to improve, like some of the things I've shared in this video. Doing this analysis yourself can sometimes be a bit annoying, especially if you don't know where you're going wrong, but that's why I created my coaching service, so I can do it for you essentially. At the time of this being uploaded, you can't get the coaching because I'm working on something big on the website, but you'll get to know about that soon if you subscribe. But yeah, just take a bit of time to review the footage and you'll definitely see where you're going wrong. So with these drills and these tips, you should definitely be able to improve your turn speed as long as you've already got decent finger tricks. Please let me know in the comments how fast you can execute Yiheng's solution or how fast you can execute the PLO time attack. I'm really curious to know. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.